Hello there, Agnieszka. First of all, welcome to your first essay check. Well done for getting this far in the course. I do hope you're enjoying it. Thank you, though, for sending such structured essays. They look like they will be a pleasure to read. Very well laid out. So, let's get stuck in, shall we? So the issue of communication between relatives is discussed very often. It is important for a family to be in touch with each other. This essay will discuss modern methods, maybe, of communication using examples such as, I would say, social media platforms or communication tools. Because a communicator is someone who communicates. The tool that they use would be maybe an internet communication tool or a social media platform, such as Facebook, Skype and Viber. And I would also be careful about this. You don't need to put a space before and after a punctuation mark. It's just after. So this one here after Facebook doesn't need to be there. But no, good intro. Good examples. Here, firstly, I would use instead the word primarily. That's just a personal preference. I think it sounds nicer. Family members, plural, do not meet each other like they used to in the past. They live a long way from each other or work long hours. So the collocation there is to work long hours. So they live a long way from each other or work long hours. This doesn't mean they do not communicate. I would expand that a little bit. It just feels a bit truncated. You've got a short sentence there and then another one immediately afterwards. Maybe string those together. They live a long way from one another and work long hours. However, this doesn't mean they do not communicate. Nowadays, there are a lot of internet applications, such as Facebook, Skype, or Viber, which are broadly used to communicate, due to the fact that almost 80% of adolescents and adults have smartphones with internet access, family members communicate with each other even more often now than in the past. So not then, than in the past. So you've got your intro sentence, then yeah, I would put these two sentences together. If you're going to use these here as examples, maybe don't use them in the intro sentence. I would always be careful with repetition. If someone reads the same thing twice, they will immediately wonder why. But great vocabulary with adolescents, smartphones. Yeah, great, nice. So secondly, using these applications, you've given multiple examples, so I would say these applications. People can not only talk, but also see each other. Furthermore, they can take pictures of themselves or places. So if they're taking pictures of a place, they are necessarily there. So you don't need to say where they are. So furthermore, they can take pictures of themselves or places and share them with family members. For example, using Facebook or Snapchat. So if you're going to do that, I would even put a semicolon there instead of a full stop, and then you don't need this capital letter. But you've got that sentence there, and because it's so related to this sentence, it shouldn't really just be on its own. Therefore, even if family members live in So I would say, therefore, even if family members live on different continents, they can still feel close to one another. Because when you've got not only countries but even continents, it just gets a little bit complicated, and it's difficult for the reader. But yeah, I suppose this paragraph here just feels a bit short. I think looking at it, the reason is it's just a little bit disjointed. So using these applications, people can not only talk but also see each other. Furthermore, they can take pictures of themselves or places where they are and share it with family members. Yeah, so the topic sentence that you use at the start of a paragraph to introduce the idea should give a summary of what the whole paragraph talks about. So what you're essentially saying in this paragraph is that family members may remain close regardless of distance. So I would use that in your introductory sentence. I would say that the advancements in technology, the developments in technology, give you a chance to use some of that vocabulary, mean that relationships can exist and can thrive regardless of geography, geographically independent communities. There's all sorts of ways you could describe it, but that first sentence really should introduce your idea and then give an opinion and then back it up with an example. So you have followed the acronym here, but we just need a little bit more given to each section. Make sure that we summarise properly at the start and then reinforce at the end after we've given a solid example. So to conclude, comma, although a few generations of families maybe do not live together anymore, or although multiple generations of families do not live together anymore, their members still live, I would say, maybe relatively close to each other. I do not agree that there is less communication between family. I believe that now people are much closer to each other than they used to be in the past. So you're talking about people here, so you have to say it must be that how close that they were. But great, so for your first essays, these are great. I would say careful of this repetition here. Make sure that if you're going to talk about an idea in a paragraph, that you introduce it fully at the start, then you give your opinion, then back it up with an example, and then give you a little flourish at the end with you therefore. But other than that, that is fantastic. So let's move on to your essay number 2. So, the issue of expanding children's abilities has grown in importance. Some people believe that there are a lot of different activities to perform. No space there. Not only reading to build up children's imagination. So you could say some people believe that there is a myriad of activities to perform, or there is a multitude of activities to perform, other than simply reading to build up a child's imagination. This essay will show that playing electronic games, I would just say playing electronic games on consoles such as the PlayStation 3 can develop more skills than just reading alone. Primarily, playing platform or adventure games on PS3 has numerous benefits. This can develop different skills which cannot be achieved by just reading. Good intro. This is because playing electronic games, a child can develop active skills, reflecting and spatial awareness. So I'd say maybe there's a couple of others you could have used here. Hand-eye coordination is one. Problem-solving skills. A lot of games require active number thinking as well, so you develop mathematical skills while you're playing video games. There are a lot of positive arguments for video games. So yeah, hand-eye coordination, spatial awareness, reflexes, I think you meant here. Active skills, I'm not sure what this is. I would have replaced this with one of the other ones that I mentioned, but I like the idea. I wrote something similar when I was in college. I remember writing about how games did not inspire violence, they allowed an outlet for aggression and anger. I was a gamer as well back then. But for example, recent studies conducted by Harvard University show that children playing for at least 2 hours per week on PS3 performed about 25% better on psychometric tests. Careful with this, because if you're referring to a study, then surely there's an exact number that came out of it. If it's a statistical study, there must be a quantifiable result. So to say that it's about 25% means that people will assume that you're making it up. If you're referring to a specific study, you must give a very specific result. You can't just say, oh, it was about this. So make sure you get a specific number in there if you're going to refer to a specific study on psychometric tests. Therefore, it is clear that children playing console games can enhance their progress in fields in ways which cannot be built up by reading alone. I'll smooth it out a little bit there. But that paragraph does have the correct structure. I'm happy with that. It's just the smoothing out the suggestions. You might have to listen to this a couple of times, by the way, in order to get all of the tips from it. But this is why we ask you to build that error list. Have a really good listen through, make a note of everything that needs to be done, and then in the next email you send these essays again, but with all the corrections that you've heard, and then the new essays after them. So, next paragraph. Secondly, playing electronic games can develop other skills such as cognitive abilities and competition abilities. Competitive abilities, maybe. And if you're going to use the word abilities twice, you can just do a list instead, such as cognitive and competitive abilities. This is due to the fact that some games, like team games, so yeah, maybe playing electronic games can develop other skills such as cognitive and competitive abilities due to the fact that there is a large range of sports games that require multiple players. So there's a word here that we could use as well, which is multiplayer. In gaming, multiplayer is I suppose a collocation of sorts that we would say, so that would require multiplayer. For instance, recent studies conducted by sporting consultants revealed that children playing electronic sporting games performed better in real-life sporting activities. Let's just be a bit more specific there. If you find yourself using ambiguous terms like ones or things, just have a quick think, is there a better way I could describe that? Because there's nothing wrong with sticking a couple more words in there if it means that it's just a bit more specific. High-level Ielts answers that come in at above 8 in writing are precise and accurate. So if we have ambiguous words in there, we should always just read over and think, actually, is there a better way to say that? So therefore, positive effects of computer games could not be questioned. That would refer to the future or the past, I would say. Therefore, the positive effects of computer games cannot be questioned. To conclude, although reading is important and can build up imagination, there are a lot of benefits to be gained from console playing. Playing electronic games not only develops imagination, but also cognitive and social skills. Good. No, that's a fine ending. So no, for your first essays, these are absolutely brilliant. So this has been quite a long video. Maybe have a quick listen to it again. Build up that error list. In your next email, send these corrected as well as the next tasks that are attached. Well done for getting this far. Well done for getting these done. Oh, thank you very much.